What did a teacher say or do to you that you've never forgotten? My parents had just divorced and they shared custody of us. When my mother had us, she wouldn't feed us, send us a lunch, bathe or groom us, so we'd show up to school tired, hungry, and dirty. When my first grade teacher figured out what was going on, she started keeping a brush and wipes for me in her desk along with lunch money. She'd take me aside before other kids showed up and groom me and feed me. That was about 35 years ago and I still think about her all the time. Ironically, her name was Mrs. Severe. What a beautiful soul. I really needed that maternal care that she gave me. Put your derriere in your cherriere. Mrs. Davis. In English class, my secondary language, my English teacher randomly pulled a condom and an eraser from her bag to outline the difference in American and British English. The whole class was amused for the rest of the week. When learning a language, don't worry about speaking it perfectly. Try to describe what you want to say with the words you have. I found that really good advice for a kid. You're not a good liar. You shouldn't do it. I did probably the most useful lesson I learned in all school before college. Had a bunch of great teachers who helped me see that I wasn't a failure in school. You're not stupid, but you're lazy was a big one for me. But reading the question, the instinctive quotes that came to mind were my physics teacher coming into class on the first day carrying a giant friggin' vernier caliper on his shoulder and telling the class menacingly, "This is my battle axe." This is also the same guy who, when teaching us about electricity, wrote on the whiteboard, "There are two types of transformers: Autobots and Decepticons." My history teacher told my parents I'd make a great spy. I went to lessons, extracted the necessary information, and got out, without him ever knowing I was there. Just because somebody is confident in what they're saying or knows how to express themselves, does not mean they are any more right or intelligent than those who do not possess those skills. My English teacher said this to my class once. It was around the time of that quote that I also realized adults aren't universally wise beings, many of them are just children in mature bodies. I know there's a senior party tonight. If any of you can't drive at any point during the night, you can call me for a ride and I'll take you home. I won't tell your parents or get you in trouble, I just don't want anyone drinking and driving. Senior biology teacher. Girls don't like drunk guys, so, if you want to hook up, let the other men get drunk and you stay sober or just happy. By default, you'll be the better option for girls or the girl you like. Never failed in my life. Thanks for so much, Professor. Don't remember your name. You won't achieve anything in your life. I am now an engineer. Every time I was studying, I thought about this sentence and it motivated me to be better and work harder to prove him wrong. Even today, every time something is tough in my life, I go over it and remember this sentence: I have to prove him wrong. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. My 5th grade teacher would stand on a chair and sing "Don't You Know How Much I Love You" to the class when we behaved. This teacher was very strict and most of my classmates didn't like her, but she liked me because I respected her and got good grades in her class. When the school year ended, she gave me a bear. It wasn't very fancy or costly, but I felt really happy leaving that classroom with the bear in my hand. I still have it and will always treasure it. When my 8th grade history teacher taught us to memorize the map of the Mediterranean and Middle East, only to make us start over a couple weeks later because he had been making us memorize a map that was fucking upside down, skull. Those who do not have the talent can compensate for it with diligence. It was a reply to a worry I had, and he was right. 3. The aeroplane you made out of a pencil, an eraser, cardboard, and tape is really great. Now I need you to do what you're supposed to be doing. Grade 2. One time in 3rd grade, I had a stomachache. I didn't tell anyone, but I guess I was looking unwell. One of my friends asked me what was wrong, so I told her. She told the teacher and the teacher said ignore her. She's making it up for attention. I had never made a fuss or done anything that would indicate attention-seeking before, so I was taken aback. Until now, I never tell anyone anything in my life that's slightly out of the ordinary for fear of being accused of lying. My teacher told me she was proud of me and that I have my own opinions and that she hopes I succeed in the future. My 6th form physics teacher told me to stop being a giant fuckwit. I was one of his better students, but I was also a giant fuckwit. I behaved for a couple weeks, I think. Mrs. Crutcher was my first and second grade teacher. She always wore high heels. One day in class, I passed out and she picked me up and carried me to the principal's office where the school nurse could examine me while my mom made her way to the school. I personally don't remember it, but my mom was always amazed that she carried me across the entire school in high heels without any issues. For Christmas that year and every year after, my mom made beaded earrings for her, and when my littlest sister was born, Mrs. Crutcher made a blanket for her. She was the best teacher I ever had. Get out before you get stuck. It was simple wisdom from my 12th grade English teacher that I repeat in my mind quite often. I think he was referring to getting out of our small town, but it rings true for many things in life. She sat down with me and patiently went through many examples until I understood her. What good is going to the church every week if you're just gonna go home and abuse your kids? This was said during a religion class in Ireland's secondary school. I am irreligious, and yet this line stuck with me. This is why I never use church-going as a character defense, and consider anyone who does so grasping at straws at best, then they should have known better at worst. Mr. Healy from Castleknock College was the teacher. Thank you for that. You'll never amount to anything. Have either you two watched Good Omens? I don't mean to assume, but also you two seem like the type. Said to me and my friend by my English teacher. I love her SN, which prompted me to binge the show the next day. She wasn't wrong in who she asked. We both are obsessed with the show ever since. But yeah, I remember that very well. I don't know, but I can find out my physics teacher, Mr. Gould. It's a little thing, but it really stuck with me. You don't have to know everything, and you don't have to appear like you do either. I hated group projects. I asked my biology teacher if I could do it alone cause I didn't like working in groups in HS, cause I'd do 90 of the work, and their 10 fuck up would drop my grade. Not only did she let me, she asked my other teachers to always have spare group supplies specifically for me. My grades went up 2 letters in every subject. You won't have a calculator in your pocket forever. No matter how mad you are at your father, if you don't at least try to have a relationship with him, there will come a day he'll be gone, and you'll regret not having at least tried. The issues weren't crazy extreme, and we now have a very good relationship, so I'm glad he told my teenage ass to stop being an ass. I was failing advanced English because I honestly didn't care. One day my teacher pulled me aside and said, you shouldn't be in advanced English, we both know it. The next day I came back, and purely to prove her wrong I ended up nailing English for the next few years until I finished schooling. Maybe she used reverse psychology on me? Haha.